Hello everyone, Captain Spidey Fist here, and I'm going to be making a video today that was suggested by Tarot Cat, so big shout out for Tarot Cat for suggesting that I make this video on how to read Pokemon cards. Now there's a lot of information on the front of these cards, and if you don't really know what you're looking at, a lot of it might slip past you, you might not quite understand, and you might end up playing the game wrong. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to break it down, and I'm going to cover how to read the card, what energy they need, how to tell what type they are, as well as how to find out what rarity they are. So, what we're going to do is we're going to start by looking at this Dragonite GX, and we're going to start in the top left corner, and we're just going to go through it, just all the way through. So, starting out, you see here that this is a Stage 2 Pokemon, and it evolves from Dragonair. And essentially what that means is you go from Basic to Stage 1 to Stage 2, and it will tell you exactly what Pokemon you need to evolve. I have a Skarmory EX right here, and it says Basic right there in that top corner. So that Pokemon is able to be played immediately. You don't have to do anything else special to it. And then you're going to have some special Pokemon, such as Tyrunt and a lot of your fossils, that says it has to be restored. Put this card on your bench only with the effect of Jaw Fossil. So this Pokemon has to be restored in order to be able to be played, and then this becomes a quasi-basic Pokemon because it is then going to evolve into a Stage 1 Tyrant, or Tyrantrum rather. So, back to Dragonite, you have Dragonite GX, and there are some rules related to GX Pokemon, such as whenever your Pokemon GX is knocked out, your opponent takes 2 prize cards instead of 1. Also, you'll have a special Dragon Porter GX right here, which is that GX attack, and you can only use one of those per game. And this is how you're going to know that your Pokemon's a GX. It'll have its name, it'll have a GX at the end. Also, any Pokemon that has any kind of numbering or lettering at the end, such as the Skarmory EX, those EX Pokemon are going to be much more rare than just like a regular Pokemon card, okay? Having those extra letters, that tells you, hey, I've got something valuable there. I'm going to want to make sure I separate this from the rest of my deck in order to make sure that I keep it, in good condition, should you decide to sell it one day. Next, we're going to go to the HP. Now, your HP is going to determine how much health your Pokemon has throughout the game. Okay, so every time your Pokemon's attacked, you take the damage that they do, and you add it to your Pokemon card until you've reached or surpassed this number to knock out your Pokemon. Next, you follow just right over, and you're going to have that dragon symbol that tells you, hey, I have a dragon-type Pokemon. Going down, if you have just a regular Pokemon, if you don't have like a special effect, it'll have like some information on the Pokemon right here under the picture. But for a lot of these, they're not going to have any extra information because it's going to have this big picture that takes up the card. So Dragon Claw, it's telling you the name of the attack, it's telling you how much damage it does, and it's telling you what kind of energy you're actually going to have to use for it. I would have to lay 1 electric energy in order to use Dragon Claw, and then in order to use Giga Impact, I would have to lay 1 water, 1 electric, and then 2 energy of any other type in order to use that 200 Giga Impact. If you look at any of the text underneath an attack, it's going to tell you secondary things about the attack, such as if you use Giga Impact, you can't attack on your next turn. In the event of Joust, before doing damage, discard all Pokemon tool cards attached to your opponent's active Pokemon. And it's just going to go like that. It'll have you follow all the text at the bottom. There it is. And that will tell you what to do in addition to doing the damage. So make sure you're reading these cards very carefully. Make sure you know what this says here so that way you can play your cards to the best of your ability. We're going to go to abilities just real quick since I've said it and it's on my mind. So these abilities can be played as many times as it says that it's allowed to be done, once per turn, or however it works out. And you can play as many abilities as you want off of different Pokemon, as long as they have an ability, such as with Breakwing here. When you play this Pokemon from your hand, evolve one of your Pokemon. You may discard all Pokemon tool cards attached to each of your opponent's Pokemon. And then Lycanroc GX, when you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon during your turn, you may switch one of your opponent's bench Pokemon with their active Pokemon. So if you have something like a supporter that says you search your deck and then evolve it immediately, you cannot use that ability because it specifically says it has to be taken from your hand to evolve. But you would be able to switch one of your opponent's Pokemon out. So knowing your abilities and knowing how to use them can affect your gameplay pretty drastically, especially because there's an Eevee where whatever energy you lay onto it, it immediately evolves to whatever, you get to search your deck and put that Pokemon on. So I have a Leafeon that I always evolve to because all it takes is 1 grass energy, and then it comes out swinging like a prize fighter. It's crazy. It does all kind of damage. Now, back to our Dragonite. We've gone through the moves. We've talked about the GX move, which you would just follow. Put 3 Dragon Pokemon from your discard pile onto your bench. And you see here, it doesn't actually do any damage. It takes 3 energy to do, but it would take up my 1 GX attack that I'm allowed to do per game. Go into the weakness and resistances. See if I can't get that to focus a little bit. There we go. We have a 2 times weakness to fairy. We have no resistances, okay? So any attack done to my Pokemon from a fairy type Pokemon is going to do twice as much damage. And they're not all 2 times. Some of them, I think back in the day, they used to have like they would do a different way, but pretty much it's always been, multiples, and then you hit your resistances. And your resistances, such as my Skarmory EX, is resistant to Psychic, or just that whatever you want to call it. It is going to reduce damage by 20. So whatever damage is done to it is reduced by 20. And those effects will stack. So if you have a Hard Charm, which reduces it by 20, and then you're hit with a Psychic attack, it's now reduced by 40, meaning that this Pokemon would be pretty tanky. So if you can get a Pokemon that has some resistances on it, those last a little bit longer. They can stay in the fight longer, and that's what you want. You want a Pokemon that's going to hit hard. You want a Pokemon that's going to stay in the match, and then something that can actually be taken out pretty quickly, because there's a lot of these Pokemon that take some pretty crazy retreat cost, and that's what I'm going to talk about right now. So you see this Dragonite. He is very strong, but his retreat cost is 3. Okay, so that means I'll have to use 3 energies that are already on him, and I'll have to burn that. I'll have to throw that away to my discard pile in order to take this Pokemon out and put a different one in, and then he would just sit on my bench with all of the damage that he has on him, but retreating does heal your status conditions. Another thing to look at, and this is where we're going to start really talking about your rarities, are your little bottom corner here, and it does change depending on like what kind of card it is and stuff, but it's usually in a bottom corner somewhere to tell you what number from the lot it is. It's going to have a little marker to show like what batch it's from, and then it's going to say for this card it's number 37 of 70. So of the 70 cards made, this is the 37th one out of the 70. And then you see I have that little star right there, and it's a little holographic star, and that is going to tell you the rarity. So there's a couple different levels of rarity. You're going to have circle, diamond, and then you're going to have like your stars and like your other little stuff down there at the bottom. But a star or multiple stars means that it is a very rare card. And then in the event that you have a promo Pokemon, and I think I had one, here we go. This is a promo Pokemon, so that promo star means that this is a pretty rare Pokemon, okay? Another thing to look at for your Pokemon rarity is whether or not it's holographic, and we've got some holographic cards right here. And there are different types of holographic. You're going to have your standard holographic, which is going to be the picture around the Pokemon is holographic. And then you're going to have your reverse holographics, which is where the picture isn't holographic, but your card itself is holographic. And I think those look super, super cool. So that's really going to be it to reading these Pokemon cards. They're pretty easy to read. But it is important that you know how to read them, because that is going to be something that varies pretty drastically between Pokemon cards, is just all that little extra stuff that they do. So this video has already gone on for 9 minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. I hope you liked the video. If you did, please like, subscribe, ring that notification bell, and I'm going to be doing a video on reading rarity and finding out how to price your Pokemon cards should you start selling them on eBay. And I'll be doing that probably right after I finish this. So that's it for the video. I'm Captain Spidey Fist, and I'm out of here.